to be clear, it's not like I have a laundry list of reasons not to have them. My main reason is I was born without the desire. So it's really that simple. It wasn't a long-suffering decision. It's not something where I thought about the state of the world and the state of the people within it and the state of the next generation and my responsibility to create that next generation and have them come into a world and inherit all of these issues, all of these problems, microplastics in the brain, none of this stuff. And I want to specifically mention the autistic and ADHD thing, or the stealth dyslexia thing, or anything else on the list. There's never a part of me that ever would have thought that I don't want to have a child because they might or probably would be autistic or ADHD or any of these things. I don't think that way. I still don't think that way. I don't consider that, for me, that's just not a reason. There are a heap of responsibilities to think about that I would be thinking about and I have thought about in my life. That is not one of them. In my own personal life, knowing my genetics and knowing my experience, excuse me, the only reason why I'd be concerned about having neurodivergent children is because I understand what it is to come into a world that's actively aggressive to that, toward that, and against that in every way. However, very importantly, it still doesn't really factor in for me because my children are going to be brown skinned no matter what. Even if I marry someone else who's got a different skin tone, there's a really good chance that you're going to look at any child that I create and know that one drop rule. I'm sure we still know about that, right? I'm sure every generation has reason to still know about that and what that means. People will be able to look at them and see the drop. And if people can't look at them, it'd be kind of amazing. But I'm looking around and I'm thinking about the people to whom I've been related. And I think, yeah, there's a good chance. There's a good chance. So as long as I know that they're going to go through that experience of coming in chocolate colored and having a life in modern world and the experiences that I grew up with and that I've had to learn to survive, I'd be chiefly concerned about that. Anything else in their life would simply be a modifier. Would I have a male who's brown, then he'll have a male brown experience. If I have a female who's brown, now that's going to be modified. She's still going to be brown, and it's going to modify the experience that she's a female, because, you know, there's kind of like a ranking system for people who rank people in that way and for that reason. And generally, you don't win out by being the female. But anything on top of that, being neurodivergent, if anything, would just be a modifier. And so if I were going to procreate, and if I wanted to do so, or if I allowed myself to do so for any reason, my chief and main thought would be the brown skin. And I would not be deterred for any of, if that wouldn't deter me, if I were a person where that's not going to deter me at all, I don't know what else would, because I'm not sure what else could possibly top that. But again, it will be a modifier. And also, I almost forgot to say, as far as people trying to shake your confidence and twist your destiny and make you so afraid that you make the wrong choice because they scared you with conversation. The second thing that I said was, oh, but when you're older, who's going to take care of you? So for me, a question like that is not going to be answered with, oh, I don't know, or oh, I have plans, or here are my financial investments, and here's how. That's, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and be perfectly honest. If you're asking me if I'm going to have children just so someone can take care of me, I'm going to be 100% clear. There's not one aspect of my entire body, molecule by molecule, no aspect of me, body, mind, spirit, has any desire to create life in order to transfer my responsibilities or issues or fortune or lack thereof onto someone else. That's not a question. It doesn't rank for me. It's not a part of my universe. It will never be a part of my universe. The question of my well-being for me is always going to be about me and not about someone else. So there are a lot of other things on that subject to think about, including the fact that having a child is not a guarantee that they're going to take care of you. It's not a guarantee that they're going to be able to take care of you. It's not a guarantee that they're going to be able to tolerate taking care of you. We don't necessarily know what's going to go on in life. And I've noticed that as time goes by, it seems like newer generations are taking different approaches. It's not like I have any intention of being an abusive individual. God knows. That's just not who I am. But I am looking around and noticing that a lot of people these days, when I was growing up, it didn't matter what you went through. You didn't cut yourself off. If you're related to somebody and you were thinking about even taking a break from them, everybody else's attitude around you, family, friends, whatever you want to call them, the attitude was always, you need to get over yourself. You need to stop laying the blame for your own life issues on them. You need to take responsibility. You go through childhood abuse and then you end up upset realizing, oh, I was abused. So you mention to someone that you dislike this and now they're telling you, you need to take responsibility for your own actions. So that kind of remark, I think, that sums up the person making it, right? We don't need to go into that detail. But long story short, I grew up in a time frame where you didn't disconnect from people. You didn't have any support from your loved ones if you disconnect from people. And people will meet you randomly on the street. And if it comes up in conversation that you don't have a great relationship with anyone in your family, with abusers, with anything at all, it'll be, oh, but you really need to call them. Like, promise me you're going to call your such and such. You need to make this right. That's your only fill in here with whatever their relation is, especially if it's a parent. And a person will assume in any generation, especially the one I grew up in, people would assume that's your only fill in here. Parent insignia. You have to love them. You have to have them in your life because that's your only one. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who has survived some of that stuff, the one that I had is an asset being gone. Having only one is not it's not a boon to being near them. If anything, the only upside is that there's only one of them. So if I kick you out once, you're gone forever. The hope is that there's only one of you to escape and that I can heal myself and not run into a million carbon copies, right? These arguments, they just don't make any sense. And once again, if it's something like just if someone has ever been talking to me, if anyone's ever talking to you and just trying to scare you out of a mindful, intelligent, safe decision you've made, please know that's not the right approach for a human being to take. Please always be mindful and safe. And don't just let somebody else's fear-mongering mess up your only lifetime on this planet in this time frame. So I'm not a huge fan of fear-mongering, and I also grew up with the spiritual belief system, and I was very much told all of my life through that God is not the one that's trying to scare everybody. If you're just feeling incredible fear, terror, discomfort, that is not God. That's not life. That's not love. That's the opposite. That's the devil. That is death. That is hate. And so I don't really pander to that because I'm just not built to pander to the Satan in people. I don't really pander to the God in people. I don't really pander. That was like a childhood survival mechanism, but it's not actually my personality. And so basically, the bingoing isn't important to me. I've even had some really abusive remarks. One time, somebody I didn't think of as being particularly hateful, just in the car with this individual. And they brought this subject up of me not wanting children. And they just said to me, no man who's worth anything isn't going to want his own children. When I tell you how sideswiped I felt in that moment, If you want something to lay fear on me, the other things didn't even compare. That came so out of nowhere and was so surprising, and I so wasn't expecting stuff like that from that person at that time. If anything were going to horrify me, it was that, because again, I've been through things already. I've seen the worst life has to offer all around me. And now this person is literally telling me that by essence of knowing myself well enough to know I'm not having children and I don't have the desire, I'm being told I'm going to automatically attract a horrible man, someone who's not worth anything, or that anyone I do attract is going to have problems with me or hate me or resent me or just plain won't want me. There's no way to win a statement like that, telling me no man who's worth anything is not going to want his own children. That, for me, is another example of where a remark like that is coming from. I don't speak to people in this way. I don't treat people like that. And so once I got over the horrible adrenaline in my system, I still moved forward, not intentionally procreating against my will because someone had coerced me through total terror and an extremely personal strike of total terror. And by the way, as far as hypocrisy goes, that person is married to someone who wasn't worth anything and did want children. So I don't know, maybe that's not the litmus test that she wanted me to believe it was. I'm just saying. After that incident, I still didn't want children. I just wanted the pain to stop because of the level of betrayal from having someone I had trusted above that level saying something like that to me, knowing how hard it would hit, kicking you while you're down in an area that at that time in my life was extremely sensitive to me, new and raw. I was at an age where I had just come out of all of the abuses and seeing everyone in every marriage and every situation around me. I'm not sure I've ever seen a healthy marriage all of my life. I think I've seen some glimpses of it from afar, but I definitely didn't grow up with that. So for that person to take that moment where I had just entered into a time frame where I'm an adult, and everyone knows as an adult, if you want that in your life, you're probably open to looking for, thinking about a romantic relationship. The timing of that, it didn't make me want children, and it didn't scare me to the point where I had them without wanting them. But what it did do was tell me who this person is in a way that to this day I never forget. That's how we survive in life. Animal survival is, that crocodile almost snapped me in two that day. If I manage to escape, I'm never going back into that crocodile's waters to swim. That's all I learned was this beast is ready for a death roll when I least expect it. And unfortunately, it continued to play out over the next few decades that that's who they would be in my life. Off and on. So I honestly think if I could manage to get through all of that head game, to make me doubt myself, to make me live in fear, to make me ashamed, to tell me that there was something wrong with me, or to try to make it about, that even had the experience of people thinking that who I am is a matter of them. There's a going belief that if a child is a beautiful thing and it's obvious that their behavior, you grow up, if you are obvious in your behavior that you are choosing beautiful things and treating people beautifully, that's due to your parents. There's also belief in the opposite, that if you choose ugly things and you treat people in ugly ways, that's due to your parents. It's really much more complex than that. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a person who does not give as I get. And people should be very glad about that, because I have gotten a lot of trash from some people who literally were not as smart as I am and do not understand. I'll put it this way, if I even wanted to say something, it would be able to hit. There have been moments when I've had to say something and it wasn't nasty and hateful and satanic, but it was defending myself when something, you know, a lie was put against me. And I, to my surprise, have seen people instantly shut up and become silent, just walk away. I am not a person who reflects what I came from. I reflect the essence that God put in me to be who I am. And that is not by accident, and it wasn't easy. But I very proudly am not a product of what I came from, and I don't reflect what I've been through. And that's kind of hard for me to say without qualifying it further, because I'm thinking about how not everyone who's harmed you wants to harm you, but that's really not my problem to deal with, because like I said, I don't reflect what I came from, I don't harm people, and I don't have time for apologetics, and I don't have the interest in it. But after all of that, I did want to sit down and talk about it. I don't know if these were all the points I wanted to make, but I think they are, because again, I grew up in a world where no one would just say, and not, yeah, I get why that might happen. It just always disappointed me. No one would ever say, I just don't want children. I just wanted to live my life. I grew up in a world where if a woman says, I actually would rather focus on my career, or I would actually just rather be able to sleep and have peace, or anything else in the world, it doesn't matter what it is, you could know you have genetic things that are apt to come down. And someone will convince you, will try to convince you, sometimes people in the medical community will try to convince you that there's a really good chance that, you know, I'm going to choose my words carefully. You can know what you're doing and have people who should understand that negate you and encourage you to do the opposite of what you're choosing. And I want to be that person from that generation who just straight out says, I straight up don't want children. There's no aspect of me that wants children. I'm not apologetic about it. I'm not going to say, no, I don't want children, but that doesn't mean I don't like children. I love children. My nieces, my nephews, I'm around all these kids. My friends have kids. I love them. I just don't want them myself, because that's not true for me. I'm a human being. I'm a Christ mystic, and I'm an empath, and I'm gifted in certain ways. So I see the value of life. I want them taken care of, but I don't want the person taking care of them to have to be me. I don't care if that's for 100 minutes or 100 years, or if it is for the eternity it'll feel like when there's a baby in the kitchen and it isn't safe, and it isn't safe for life. Or if it's the eternity of, for the rest of time, my spirit will have broken part of itself off to make another being, and I will always now be that parent, always have those thoughts and those feelings. I don't care if it's a real eternity or if it feels like one. I've never been that person. And so I also wanted to specifically say that. And at that point, I think I've said everything that I wanted to see, and now I'm gonna go watch this and see if I'm actually gonna upload it, because I'm as surprised about this as anyone who's watching might be. I will be finding out with everyone else. So yeah, I hope that helps anybody. And if you like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, share, do all the things. Thank you for existing. Thank you for listening. And that's about it. Bye now.